Excuse me. I want to ask Mr. Zulfikar Ghos to read us some poetry.
This poem is about, perhaps not about, but to do with elitist people who go to the opera. And you have to be elitist, you have to be rich. And I love doing it. I'm not that rich, but I still love doing it. And one of the operas that is performed ad nauseum is called La Bohème by Puccini. I'm sick and tired of La Bohème by Puccini. I imagine everybody knows Bohème. If you don't, there is a character in it called Mimi. She conveniently loses a key, drops a key, and then a candle goes out so that she's obliged to come and meet the person who's going to fall in love with her, etc. And in the end, her hands are very cold because they're very poor students. And this poem is called No More Bohème, Please. Let's not have La Bohème again for another 200 years. Ditto for the Eroica Symphony, and ditto for Swan Lake, and ditto, ditto, ditto for Holt's Planets and Handel's Messiah. I really, really don't want to hear about Mimi's candle going out again. Let collective amnesia overtake humanity and work with satellites to jam the tunes still held dear by diehard fanatics from reaching the earth. It's the least digital technology can do. I really, really don't want to hear about Mimi dropping her key again. Let's pray to God that he blow his breath upon fundamentalists everywhere, and in one miraculous moment, convert them all to sheep. Let them, Lord, be shepherded to where they are their own and only audience, with no one to listen to their bleating. I really, really don't want to hear about Mimi's frozen hands again. Thank you.
That was good. Thank you. That was a wonderful poem. I now want to ask Joe Dunthorne to read out some of his poetry.
Thank you. I'm going to read a poem which I suppose is also about this kind of idea of high literature and low literature and the divide. There's a book called The Rings of Saturn by W.G. Sebald, which you may have heard of. Extremely good book, actually, but certainly regarded as the sort of book you might give to someone you're trying to impress with your highbrow readings. So it's a sestina as well, which you probably know involves 6 end words being repeated. Sestina for my friends. I know what my friends think of me because of the things they say. Joe, you are shiny and worthwhile and always thinking of others. I am not so great. I could name at least 5 people who are better overall. Here's one of my faults. I'm forever calculating how to present myself in any given situation. Calculating people give W.G. Sebald's Rings of Saturn as a gift and think that the person receiving the book will think better of them. After reading it, they will say, Joe, it was beautiful. I mean, he's like the great Gramps I never had. He even made Suffolk compelling. I always give Rings of Saturn as a gift, sometimes even to boys. Always is too much. I've given it twice, if I'm calculating honestly. Once to a girl who thought I was great for just over a month until she suspected, correctly, that I think I'm more interesting than her. If I say that the boy I gave it to was far better at football than me, then I think you understand. Better to be left for dead on the right wing, always knowing that the boy who embarrassed you, let's say his name's Luke, has this book in his bedroom. I'm calculating that he won't have sold it because he thinks, nay, hopes that one day he might read it, this great and clever book that was a gift from a friend who's not great at football, but by God, he's got a brain, and ultimately it's better to have enormous thoughts than to be almost semi-pro. I think great people don't have these sorts of thoughts. I always keep my mauled copy somewhere half inconspicuous, calculating the spot where guests will see it, sure, but they will not say, I bet Joe put that there so I see it. More likely they'll say, huh, such a clever book, just lying there next to his football boots. It's great to know someone like Joe who's clever but doesn't rub your face in it. Calculating people are the worst in existence. This poem is better for its honesty. Even when I admit this stuff, my friends can always fall back on my honesty. He thinks too much, they think. We'd best not say anything about that Sestina. He'll always be great to us, better than great, more like excellent, or this is what I'm calculating.
Very good. Very good. Very different.
Thank you, that was splendid. Thank you very much, Joe Dunthorne. I now want to ask Shima to read out a poem by Zeba Hafiz. Would you come to the rostrum? Shima Kirmani.
I'd like to say that the only reason why I'm reading this poem is because Salman said Zeba is not able to come. So,
But you read so magnificently.
well, I'm sure
So-
the poet can read better
No,
than I
but she'll
can.
read the next one.
It's called Mesopotamia. In this devastation, I see it. Birthplace of prophets, saints' insignia defaced. War returns, bodies, rivers of blood. The small, resolute band, Karbala, and the ravages of Genghis Khan. This century's precision, sword stroke, bombs, igniting the skies. The muezzin's call to prayer winnowed through Baghdad's palms. Another dawn. That's
Thank
it.
you very much. Superb. Thank you very much. Yeah. I now want to ask Sherbanu Zafar Iqbal to read out a poem by Maki Qureshi, the late Maki Qureshi, who was one of our very special poets, a really marvelous poet. You're reading out the cerebral palsy poem.
Yeah.
Right, okay, fine.
Maki was my English professor at college. I feel very privileged to be reading her poem. It's called For a Victim of Cerebral Palsy. How shall we label you? Rare? Extinct? You cannot speak or lift your head, but understand 3 languages, I'm told. And your eyes speak, snapping like an ill-used pet. Yes, we cajole, exaggerate our smiles as we pack your ramshackle bones into a chair. We are kind and trained to do what's best. Troubled. Why are you so snarling? Alive. Look how tenderly we preserve leopard and tiger, till their eyes are bland. Exiled. A demon weeps inside your skull, making you dumb with unspeakable hate. I cannot think of any kind of hell, but it takes your shape. Whew.
Terrific. Gosh. Yeah. Absolutely wonderfully read. Thank you. That was magnificent. And what a great poem it is. Yeah, absolutely splendid. Now I'll ask Maki Qureshi's daughter, Shireen Harun, to come and read out one of her poems.
This poem is called Earthworm. I'm sure I won't be able to better Sherbanu's reading. She did a beautiful job on my mother's poem, but I shall do my best.
Tremendous, tremendous.
Thank you. One has to take the experience of him on faith alone, for he himself is most comfortable in shadow. His whole existence, an act of vanishing adroitly underground, leaving just the faintest trace of loam. Such solitude, composure, it keeps him blind down in his province of sources, stones, and dirt, where one surmises him to be at work, gnawing or growing, though in his mouth the taste remains the same, equally indistinct. Or stranger still, that he, with all his inborn craft, who turns the soil, who labors so long at the root, evinces not the least desire to see the flower.
Very good. Thank you very much. Khalid Ahmed, would you care to come and read out something by Alamgir Hashmi?
Karachi stopover. The man's arm swings in the air like a whip. I see the air bleed. I hear it cry and shout for help. This crack of bone and tear of flesh that pain receives as tribute to its power must rule here. I seek its face among faces, lean, aloof, now lost suddenly like a summer splash on a green lawn. I say, friend, are you here? A petty criminal, they say, who's out in tropical heat and must prove someone's idea of justice. There's no forgetting pain for your subtle face. This country's there's no forgetting pain for your subtle face. This country's the definition. My luggage in the taxi sweats. The airport is empty. Its planes gone to pray till 4 p.m. while bombs in the lockers snore. Not even a visit by God will change it.
Someone, you want to read me to read mine? Are moderators supposed to read their poetry? Or should I just forget about myself? They're supposed to be a poet. No, I mean, are moderators supposed to read their poems? I don't think they are, but anyway. Moderately. Moderately, indeed. 1 second, I'll just be with you. Called Eyrie. E-Y-R-I-E, in other words. The dark death's angels' wings, with their iridescent fish scale undersides, quiver as they're folded in. Eyes squinny as through a visor, narrowing to a cold, long, lashless stare. Dispirited but intent, the bird takes the sun where he can find it, hunched above a parapet on boughs which are really the bars of a television antenna. Just a few feet off, the world he is in retreat from falls away to, high hanging in the trees, a late winter afternoon glow. It's to girders and cats, the day's inclusive reverie. And then returns to where, in pinched disdain, he guards a pristine hunger. We know that such a one as this would scarcely cavil if occasion offered, and some slight movement beckoned, some small life throbbed among the shrubs below, or may perhaps even one day have swooped to earth, but not to kill, to drop decorously, as one might a napkin, having unseamed it with sartorial skill, a refined mouse skin by a roadside. Thank you. Now, Salman Qureshi will read us a poem. I will. Yeah, of course. Yeah. You will. What does that mean?
Sorry. The warning that must accompany this is that my poems tend to be interminably long. This is in 5 parts. Please bear with me. It's called Death of a Prominent Citizen. Part 1, obsequies. He was honored by the city he'd loved and made his home. 3 former chief secretaries, the entire staff of the museum,